gosh, every loss of hope that I had is restored since I joined the program and since this sweet baby's been growing.
Welcome to Fertility TV. Today is one of those very special videos where I share a story of hope, as I like calling these real live case studies from members of my Hope Fertility program. This woman was 40 when she started conceive. She hadn't tried before that. And she was about to give birth at 44 when she recorded this testimonial. In this video, we're going to talk about making difficult decisions, advocating for yourself, knowing when it's time to move to the next step to get different results, preparing your body and restoring hope, and so much more. It's really a special story she shares. If you're new here, welcome to Fertility TV, the place to be if you want to improve your fertility naturally. I've been helping couples for over 21 years with my Hope Fertility coaching program and physically here in San Diego at my clinic. Before we dive in, make sure to hit the button to subscribe and ring that bell, because what I'm about to share could really be an eye-opener and change your life. It's a beautiful story. Let's jump into it right now. And as always, I'll be commenting throughout.
Basically, my story started during COVID. My husband and I moved up into the mountains away from the city, and then we just opened our eyes to a whole new world. Let's escape the city. Let's live in the country, self-sustaining lifestyle. And I thought, oh my gosh, children, we have to have children. And it was kind of surprising for both of us, but we dove in. And so that was, 4 years ago, something like that. And I was 40. And I thought, oh gosh, this might not work. And if it doesn't, it's okay. But in reality, it wasn't okay. And after about a year of trying, I realized how invested I had become. And, I just kept telling my husband how much more serious it was getting to me, and I didn't know what was going on. And my OB just kept saying, well, you're 40, so you need to go see a specialist. So, what was that, maybe a year later, I went in and saw an endocrinologist. She took the blood test, and she was just brutally direct with me. It's too late for you, there's no chance. And she wasn't completely wrong at that time. I had been working a stressful job in Los Angeles and overexerting myself for 20 years and working like a man, really, which I realized doesn't suit a female, especially if you want to be fertile.
I have to stop here because she said it. She chose the words, working like a man. And there's nothing wrong with working like a man as long as you stay connected to who you are as a woman, to your femininity, and you can toggle between the two. So often, I see that this specific thing is a real block, a real issue. So I wanted to highlight it here. It's not the main part of her story that, I'll comment on, but I think this piece is so important, that her own ability to recognize that and then to be able to start to make that shift is super, super valuable. So let's continue on with her.
My AMH was so low, 0.003, and my FSH was 76. And at that point, I had to learn what that stuff meant because I didn't know. I mean, that's the worst part. No one teaches us this stuff. If I could go back, I would have done the research in my 20s, or I wish schools would teach us that. We don't have to worry about getting pregnant. There's only a few days in your cycle when you ovulate where you get pregnant, and so forth. So anyhow, that was devastating. It really did tell me donor eggs, nothing else. And then she was not available to talk to me anymore. And I almost gave up. I thought I was giving up, but gosh, when you want a baby, you don't give up. You dive in deeper. And I just started doing research online and reading. And I finally found Marc Sklar and watched the videos and listened to everything he said. And I realized, this makes so much sense, especially with, doing yoga and meditation in the past. I realized, of course, body and mind connection. I've got to work on this, and I got to check into my health, and I got to check what's going on. What are my hormones telling me? And so I contacted you all, and I spoke to you, and I guess that's been a little over 2 years ago. And wow, I learned so much so quickly. I felt so empowered. And just in weeks of writing in my journal, which I hadn't really done in the past, of positive affirmations and meditation, and I was able to slow my mind down and change my view a little bit and just see things in a different light. And 2 months later, I started the Candida cleanse with a whole new outlook. And I just felt vibrant and brand new.
So I've got a comment here, okay? She made a choice a choice to change her mindset. And it started with some of the things that I talk about right here on this channel all the time. It started with her journaling, writing positive affirmations, meditation. These are all things that started to shift her mindset and her ability to believe in herself and her relationship, not only to herself, but the world around her. You don't have to wait for someone else to tell you. You don't have to wait till it's too late or till you're in the hospital. Now is the time to reconnect with yourself, with the world, with your femininity, right? Now is the time to reconnect in ways that you can relate to. For her, it was yoga and meditation and journaling and affirmations. You might not have to do all of those things, but you can connect to some of those things. And that could be the first step for you all, like it was for her. And I think it's a super powerful thing. So I want to encourage all of you to do that now, right? What is going to be the one thing or two things that you're going to do to reconnect with yourself and the world in a different way, in a more feminine way? How are you going to do that? All right, let's keep listening.
I mean, I felt so young. I felt better than I did in my 20s, probably back to my early 20s. And it didn't turn my health around through my mindset and through diet as well. And oh my gosh, I swear, 6 weeks into the Candida cleanse, boom, I got pregnant. It was incredible. It just all became so clear. Okay, I can take care of myself and this can happen. I mean, I can make this happen. But, you know, that pregnancy didn't last. So my body was ready, but my eggs weren't. And we were upset, but we understood what needed to happen. Anyhow, we went through another year of trying, and work was a little bit stressful, and I was doing pretty well with everything, but not quite good enough, and I was getting frustrated.
So I want to stop here. So even though that pregnancy didn't last, what it showed her is that it was still possible. She was told it wasn't possible. What it told her that it was still possible. It restored her hope and belief in herself and her ability to conceive. That was part of her ability to continue trying for another year. Okay, if she didn't have that, maybe she would have stopped sooner. But she reset her mind and her body with a detox, with change in diet, and she started to feel so much better that she had the motivation to keep going. Okay, so I often talk about baby steps and wins. This was a baby step and a win, even though it wasn't the ultimate win. She was moving in the right direction.
I talked to my husband and we decided to turn to IVF. Of course, 42 by then, so you have to go to a special clinic. Not all the clinics will take you. I guess you're too risky after a certain age and low AMH. And that was another thing that happened with the Candida cleanse. My hormone levels were amazing. I forget exactly what they were. FSH went down from 76 to, I don't know if it was 23 or it was 18, or it was pretty extreme. And the AMH went up. So anyhow, time went.
So again, she reiterated when she changed her mindset, when she improved her diet, she detoxed, she reconnected with herself in a different way, her hormones shifted in a positive way. They changed. These are the things that are possible, okay? Not just for her, but for you as well. Now, she did also say that she was going to go to IVF. There's nothing wrong with IVF. In her situation, she had tried naturally. She had tried for a couple of years. It didn't work out. And now she was ready to try something different. And IVF was that next step for her, which made a lot of sense at 42.
And I was getting frustrated. I was 43. And then I guess it was last October. And I decided to look into donor eggs, which I had never done before. It was just kind of offensive when a doctor looks past all your problems and says, your option's donor eggs, and that's it. And you think you're having someone else's baby. There's all this misunderstood information. But anyhow, I looked into it more, and I just decided this baby would be a part of us no matter what. And the next step was donor eggs. And then I spoke to my husband, and believe it or not, he was on board and just being supportive. And I was really, really hopeful. And I got back into the journaling, and that's something that's been so important, that journaling, which I'd never been into. I wrote out my stories the way I would like them to come true twice. And the first time, I swear, I got pregnant few weeks later. And I kept writing it over and over, and I got pregnant. And then with the donor eggs, I prepped myself the same way. I made a little story. And It's just incredible. It makes such a big difference. If you can convince your mind, I honestly believe you can convince your body. And we went through all the steps for donor egg. I mean, it's also another process that you have to do a lot of research and take your time and learn and be patient and try to pick an individual that you think is similar to you. And I know that whole donor egg industry is getting a little tight because it's not as readily available in other countries. So a lot of people are coming here to use it as well. So it took some time, but unbelievable. I went in, did all the tests, went through the transfer. I never had met this doctor because I had previously had another one in the same clinic. And he was in and out. Before he left the room, I said, "Can you hand me one word of advice? Anything, please." A man of few words. He said, "Enjoy your pregnancy." And I went in there with that mindset, and I left with that mindset, and that's what happened.
So, even though she's now at a place of using an egg donor, she didn't give up. And there's a couple things that are important here on her journey. One is she made the choice. Her and her partner made the choice to move towards egg donor. It wasn't just something that she felt forced into doing, and she had tried and felt like she had given it her all before she moved on this path. So I think that's really important for many of you as well. Additionally, she recognized that just because she was using a donor egg doesn't mean that that baby wasn't going to be part of her in some way, in many ways, right? In the way she was going to bring up that child, but also genetically what was passed on to that child during the pregnancy, during the 10 months of gestation. All of that contributed to her decision and her ability to feel comfortable moving forward with a donor egg. Donor egg is not for everybody, but it wasn't for her at 40. It wasn't for her at 41 or 42, but it was for her at 43. And I think she wouldn't have been able to make that decision if she hadn't prepared her body in the way she did, right? If she hadn't done all of that preparatory work that she did with us, she probably would have had a much more difficult time conceiving, even with donor egg, if she didn't prepare her body. And more importantly, her mind wouldn't have been in the right place. She said, "I kept journaling," and that mindset piece was so important. Even that last part of her doctor saying, enjoy your pregnancy. She went in thinking that way and she left thinking that way because of what he said. All of those things matter and made a big difference for her in her positive pregnancy. All right, let's finish listening.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, the fear of not knowing if you'll have connection with your donor egg, it ends if you do the proper research and you believe it, but it also ends when you feel your baby growing and you feel all this inside of you. And you know that through epigenetics, your body influences her genetic code. And it's just never been so real. And know that she is a part of us even before she's here. And it's the most magical experience ever.
100%.
I never change any of this, not one step of it. Gosh, every loss of hope that I had is restored since I joined the program and since this sweet baby's been growing. And I just feel so grateful. Oh, without finding Marc Sklar, I don't know what would have happened. I think it's easy to say I think I would have given up, but I'm pretty stubborn like most of us ladies on this mission. Gosh, I would have ran in circles. I wouldn't have known. And for me, the gut cleanse, the candida cleanse, and some other bacterial issues and things, that changed my whole life. I mean, still, I'm kind of eating naughty because I'm pregnant, but I feel really good. I mean, I don't have any digestive issues anymore. They just went away. And I'm like a brand new person. And all of that clarity just makes life brighter. It makes things, it just makes things clear. And it's up to us. We choose how we want our life to go.
So this piece is so valuable, so important. That piece of her recognizing that through epigenetics, through the ability to carry that child, she passes on some of her genetic code over, and that allows her to stay connected to this donor egg and this beautiful embryo, this beautiful child growing inside of her, and knowing that she's going to be able to raise her just like she would raise any other child that she conceived is super valuable. And so I want you all to recognize, I know that donor egg is not for everyone, but I do think that for those of you who make that choice, it's a beautiful decision and there's so much value that can be gotten from that. You know, in her case, such a beautiful child. She shares such a beautiful message too. Really, I know I talk about hope, you know, all the time, but she really shares that story of hope. She shares it with all of you, and hopefully you're able to connect with that, because she talks about perseverance, making those difficult choices, and making all the necessary changes in her life prior to conceiving, basically to create a different person. She's a new person, essentially. Both physically and mentally, she's a new person. And that has allowed her to create this beautiful child, and not only a beautiful child, but a healthy child now and for the future and generations. And that's what making these changes is all about. It's not just about changing the quality of your eggs or the environment in your uterus. It's about creating healthy children now so that they can create healthy children and you can have healthy families. So it goes so much more beyond that, and I hope you're able to connect with that message like she was and like I was able to share with you. If you're ready to get personalized fertility coaching, head on over to marksklar.com/discovery call to speak to a real human on my team so we can identify if having me as your fertility coach is the right next step for you. I'm going to also leave that link in the description below to make it easier for you to find. Now, I also want you to watch this video with all of the tips that I share about solo journey to motherhood. That's right, a solo journey to motherhood. Until the next video, stay fertile.